What's up, everybody? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com, coming to you on Friday, October 14th at 4:15 p.m. from the ATL. All right, let's talk some Week 7 college football picks. Let's start with the Utes of Utah, which are in desperation mode here, hosting USC. They're obviously out of the CFP conversation with two losses at Florida earlier in the year, but the loss at UCLA does not ruin their Pac-12 hopes. They can jump right back in the mix in the Pac-12 South with a win Saturday night at home versus USC. USC has to go into some chilly weather here. They have to go into altitude. Utah has won 11 in a row outright at home. They're 3-0 both straight up and against the spread at home this year. Not a murderer's row of competition, but will nonetheless point out they've won by margins of 26, 28, and 67. In Utah's last 30 games as a home favorite, they're 21-9 against the spread, but even more impressive, during that same stretch of 30 home favorite rolls, 22 times they've been double-digit favorites, 8 times they've been a single-digit home chalk, and in those 8 single-digit home chalk spots like this one, they are 8-0 against the spread. They won 42-26 at USC last year. That was obviously a whole different dynamic with USC with an interim coach, but again, I'll still point out that Cam Rising threw for 306 yards and 3 touchdowns without an interception, and also had a rushing touchdown. I think Utah takes care of business here. There was one book that had moved to 3 earlier today, but if your number's 3.5, try to buy that half point to the key number of 3. Same deal with Clemson, minus 3.5 at FSU. Let's try to buy that half point to the key number of 3. As long as you don't have to pay more than minus 130 for it, I think you should probably do that. FSU probably going to be without Trayshawn Ward, their star running back. They've now dropped back-to-back games. And Clemson, smallest chalk roll of the year. I think they get it done. Minus 3 at FSU. Let's go back to another over for Charlotte and UAB, but it's mainly Charlotte. The over's 5-0 in their last 5 games with combined scores of 65, 77, 83, 76, and 76. The 49ers are dead last in scoring defense, giving up 46.3 points per game. Number 131 out of 131 FBS teams. They're number 130 in both total defense and run defense. And UAB has also seen back-to-back overs. Not as high as this one, but I got it at 62 early in the week. It's either 63 or 63.5. If it's 63.5, buy the half point to the key number of 63. For a total, 63 is a key number because it's a multiple of 7. Let's also go noon Eastern kick at the Big House in Ann Arbor. Let's go Penn State plus 7. They are 2-0 both straight up and against the spread on the road this year. They pulled that one out at Purdue, and then they pounded Auburn 41-12 in front of a raucous environment. And the spot is very favorable to PSU. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. It's the 7th game in 7 weeks for Michigan, and the Nittany Lions have the revenge angle, losing 21-17 at home to the Wolverines last year, but they did win outright by double digits their last trip to the Big House in 2020. Sean Clifford, 9-2 TDI-NT ratio as Penn State's quarterback this year, 4 rushing touchdowns as well. They've got 2 dynamic true freshman running backs in Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. Singleton averaging 7.3 yards per carry, 454 rushing yards, and 5 touchdowns. Allen with 303 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 5.3 yards per carry average. In Michigan, since they had those 3 cupcake non-conference foes that they spanked, they are 1-2 against the spread in 3 Big Ten games. Barely got past Maryland at home. Never threatened to cover as a 17-point home favorite. Won by 7. And then last week at Indiana, that game was tied at 10 midway through the third quarter. It was a one-possession game with 10 minutes left, 17-10, and the 31-10 final, which was still a non-cover for Jim Harbaugh's team, was a misleading final score as well. So Penn State +7. Let's also go with Ole Miss. Now, it's either 14.5 or 15. If you get 14.5, buy the half point at the key number of 14. I think they put it on Auburn. I think Brian Harsin will probably be fired before lunch on Sunday. So there's 5 picks for you. I also got James Madison early in the week at -10, but it's 12.5 now, so I don't want to recommend that. So in review, Charlotte UAB over 63, Penn State +7, hopefully Ole Miss -14, maybe -15, but if it's 14.5, definitely buy the half point. And then Clemson and Utah both -3, and if you have to buy the half point, do so. There's 5 college football picks for you. Week 7, I'm Brian Edwards for MajorWager.com, and over and out.